You are listening to a special edition of the Central Indiana Sports Report, our Class A 42 Sectional Championship game preview between the Carroll Cougars and the Pioneer Panthers, with Sam Wort of WILO in Frankfort and Val Tsoutsouris of RTC and WROI in Rochester. Welcome to a special edition of the Central Indiana Sports Report with myself, your host Greg Mengelt, and Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader Sports Editor Michelle Garmon. Our Class A Sectional 42 preview between the Carroll Cougars and the Pioneer Panthers, with WILO Radio's Sam Wort out of Frankfort. He covers the Carroll Cougars, and Val Tsoutsouris of RTC and WROI in Rochester, who covers the Pioneer Panthers. Coming up, we'll be joined by Sam and Val to discuss Friday's sectional championship. Then Michelle Garmon and I will make our sectional championship game predictions. Before we get to all of that, I want to let you know what's going on at the Central Indiana Sports Report. First of all, we have 8 sectional championship previews. Please go check the others that were released early Friday morning. On Friday evening, I'll have the sectional championship scoreboard show with scores and highlights from across Indiana. It's a lot of fun to do. Also this weekend, we'll have our Colts-Falcons preview, our college football previews and predictions with Eric and Ryan Robinson, IU Penn State and Purdue Ohio State previews and reactions, and our Colts-Falcons, IU Marquette, and Purdue Oakland reactions, all coming this weekend. If you like this podcast and like what we're doing, please do us a huge favor and click the like button. Every time someone hits the like button, our podcast platforms, including YouTube, spread it to others who may be interested in listening. It helps more than you know. And please consider subscribing at Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Audible, SoundCloud, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all that, so you don't miss any of the fun. Also, basketball season is right around the corner, and we will have boys and girls scoreboard shows multiple times a week, hopefully starting next week. Pioneer is coming in to the Sectional 42 championship game on a roll. They've won 9 games in a row since their only loss of the season, 38-20 to Miles McLaughlin and the Knox Redskins. They beat Caston 35-0, then previously unbeaten and third-ranked Frontier 42-6 in a very impressive win in last week's sectional semifinal. Pioneer eliminated the Cougars 49-7 in last year's sectional semifinal. The Panthers' 9th straight win over Carroll, dating back to 1996. Pioneer 7-1 all-time versus the Cougars in the postseason. Panthers quarterback Micah Rance went for over 1,000 yards rushing this season. He accomplished that last week and now has 1,007. He has 23 rushing touchdowns and has thrown for 6 more. The Panthers defense has given up just 31 points in the last 6 weeks and is one of just 9 active teams in Indiana, giving up fewer than 10 points per game. Carroll had won 4 straight sectionals until the Panthers beat them last year. After beating Winnemac 27-14 in the opening round, the Cougars got a big 21-20 win over defending champion Taylor last Friday. Please stay tuned for Sam Wort, then Val Tsoutsouris. Then Michelle and I will be back to make our game predictions. We continue our preview of sectional number 42, the championship game between the Carroll Cougars and the Pioneer Panthers. And I'm joined now by Sam Wort, the sports director at WILO. And Sam, this Carroll program under Blake Betzner just keeps rolling along, doesn't it?
Yeah, they absolutely do, and they're happy to be back in a championship game after losing a little earlier than they expected last year to Pioneer in that semifinal game. Man, they gutted one out against Taylor last week at a 20-19 victory, and they're excited. They're ready. They know what it's going to take to take down Pioneer, and they're ready to go.
And they took down the defending champion Taylor last week by a point at home. How did that one go?
Well, it took a defensive stand late in the game with Taylor going for a 2-point conversion to take the lead, 7 minutes to go. And I talked to Blake Betzner after the game. Once his team got the stop on defense, he looked at his quarterback, he looked at his running back, he said, 3 first downs, that's all we need. And they didn't play Emery Deaton, who's one of their fantastic running backs. They didn't play him on offense. He's been dealing with an injury, so they didn't play him on offense the entire game until that last drive. And they didn't play him to run. They played him to block for Aiden Wiles. And so they were able to turn that clock, pick up 3 first downs, and kneel it out to beat Taylor. But, man, it was a dogfight in that one. I talked to Coach, and he said, man, if you were at that game, you got your money's worth.
That's right. Early in the season, Carroll gave up 41 points to Maconic-Waugh. They gave up 28 in a loss to Eastern. Lately, the defense has been really good. And if you hold Javion Harris and the Taylor Titans to 19 points, you're playing awfully well.
Harris is a fantastic athlete, and nobody's been able to shut him down all year. And for them to just be able to contain Taylor and that fantastic offense, it was impressive to see. They haven't given up more than 21 points in a game since September 19th against Eastern, where they lost that one 28-27. Even to Sheridan, who's been averaging close to 30 points a game, they only gave up 20 in that loss. Wow. But their defense is playing as good as they have all season.
And speaking of defenses, Pioneer comes in off giving up Pioneer comes in giving up just 6 points in the entire sectional so far. They've only given up 24 points since midway through the season. And it's a team that also shut down Carroll last year. That has to be a concern for Carroll, right?
The only team that's been able to do something against Pioneer is Knox and Miles McLaughlin. And there's not a guy of that caliber, I don't think, on Carroll, unless they've been hiding him all season. It's gonna be tough for Carroll to get things going. I think they're gonna have to pull out some wrinkles, some tricks. If Emery Deaton is healthy for Carroll, he's one of their fantastic running backs. If he's healthy, it's going to provide a spark for them, and I think they'll be able to do a little bit more on offense. But man, they're going to need Cale Peters, their quarterback, and then Aiden Wiles and Emery Deaton to be playing their best football.
Well, it has to be different than last year, if you remember last year's game.
Oh, we were there broadcasting that game, and the stunned silence after probably the second Pioneer touchdown to go up 14-0. Carroll had never trailed that much in a game all of last year. They had really never been tested. They were undefeated up into that game. And so the stunned silence in that stadium when Micah Rance just ran all over Carroll last year, it was pretty crazy to see. And so Pioneer was able to kind of do what they want. And for Blake Betzner, he's got an opportunity to change that narrative this year.
Yeah, I'll take a heck of a good turnaround. At least the game's at home again, right?
It is at home, so that will hopefully provide a little bit more juice to Carroll and be able to give them a spark. But, man, it's going to be tough to shut down this rushing attack for Pioneer. And Carroll plays a multiple defense, so they kind of mess with their defense a little bit based on who they're playing. But they're going to have to really be stout against this offense if they want to get an opportunity to win the game.
And, of course, they've won 3 in the last 4 years. Blake Betzner only knew how to win sectionals coming into this year, hadn't won one as Carroll's coach. So I imagine that they feel like that's their championship to win. And we're going to see a Carroll team that's ready for some revenge on Friday night.
Ready for some revenge. And if you look back, the past 9 matchups have all gone Pioneer's way. The last win for Carroll against Pioneer, I think it was 1997. So it's a long time coming for Carroll over Pioneer, but man, they're going to have to overcome a lot on Friday night.
Sam Wort of WILO Radio, thank you so much for your time, and have some fun on Friday night.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
As we continue our preview of Sectional 42 championship game between the Pioneer Panthers and the Carroll Cougars, we welcome for the first time Val Tsoutsouris, the sports editor at RTC and also with WROI Radio in Rochester, calls football games up there, and Val has one of his teams is the Pioneer Panthers. Tell us what this team's about, Val.
I talked with Coach Adam Berry before the season started, and he was talking a lot about defense before the season started. Pioneer's defensive average was 21 last year, and I asked him about it. He said it was good, but we want to get it down to single digits. And I was skeptical of when he said that. Again, given Pioneer's schedule, playing teams like North Judson and North Miami, that they could do that. Well, look at what they've done. I think 4 or 5 shutouts this year, and the defense scoring average is down in the single digits. I think it's around 9.5. Just a great job again. This Pioneer team is obviously so well known for its running game, going back decades and decades. Its wing T rushing attack, but boy, its defense has just been outstanding. They held a Frontier team that came in, I think, averaging over 52 points a game last week, and they held them to 6 and beat them 42-6. Held them to under 200 yards of total offense, which was a season low as well.
9 wins in a row. As you mentioned, 5 shutouts this year. They've outscored their 2 postseason opponents 77-6, including an unbeaten Frontier team last week. Adam Berry's got them playing really well and playing for their first sectional championship since 2020, and they look like the favorites.
Well, they played in the sectional final last year against Taylor and lost 28-6. And I think that loss has kind of gnawed at them for a whole year, and now here's their chance to atone for that loss. This is a very, very proud Pioneer program. If you don't believe me, then just turn on the Jacksonville Jaguars every week and you see Jack Kaiser playing. He's a Pioneer grad. So this is a very proud team, a very proud program that they were kind of humbled in 2022 when they went 2-8. That was shocking. I mean, that ended a run of like 26 consecutive winning records. But again, they've gradually but they were so young back in 2022, and a lot of those freshmen then are now seniors, and they have really grown into a terrific team. Obviously, the key component is quarterback Micah Rands. If you're a Carroll fan, I'm sure you know very well who Micah Rands is, because he ran for 322 yards and 5 touchdowns in last year's sectional meeting, which Pioneer won 49-7. The 322 yards were a school record. And if you run for a school record at Pioneer, that's saying something. Because, heck, if you just ran for more yards than anybody in the Kaiser family, because obviously everybody knows Jack Kaiser, but his 2 older brothers, Bryce and Sam, were also terrific Pioneer football players as well. So for Rands to do that, and then Rands actually broke his own record earlier this year. I think he had 325 in a game against North Miami. So he's a very speedy, elusive quarterback, but he's not the only weapon. There's a fullback, Noah Van Meter. He has been outstanding this year. Van Meter is also an all-state linebacker. And then those 2 wingbacks have really come on as well. Shiloh Riney is a junior, and Philip McFatridge, he's just a sophomore. And it was actually McFatridge who led the team in rushing last week against Frontier. And Pioneer as a team averaged 11.2 yards a carry as a team. They only attempted 2 passes, but when you're averaging 11.2 yards a carry, you don't need to pass it.
I'm going to guess that, well, this is a Pioneer team, obviously, that has gotten better the last couple of years and is really rolling right now. And they're playing a Carroll team, I think, that's probably not quite as good as what the Cougars were a couple of years ago.
Blake Betzner has done a terrific job. Defensively, they've always been among the state leaders in defensive scoring average. This year, that average has gone up a little bit. They did allow 19 to Taylor last week, but that's an explosive Taylor offense.
That's a good defensive performance for sure.
Yeah, with Xavion Harris and that team. I know full well how good Taylor is. Struggled a little bit on the defensive end against Winnemac 2 weeks ago. That is going to be the key issue in this game. Can Taylor's defense hold down this Pioneer wing T rushing attack? With McFatridge and Ryan really stepping up this year. Now, they excel at those sweeps and off tackle plays. So when you can run it around the perimeter with those 2 guys, that'll loosen things up on the inside for Van Meter and for Rands.
You talked about the defense, Val, and giving up less than 10 points per game. And, of course, that includes Miles McLaughlin on your schedule. So that's pretty impressive.
I should have noted that. That's their one loss was to Knox, and they allowed 38 in that game. That almost should be like a special category.
It really should be.
Yeah.
If you hold the leading rusher in the history of forever, 38 points, that's a pretty good defensive performance, as you say.
Yeah.
And then they shut out Caston. They hold Frontier to 6 points. It's a defense that seems to be on a mission. In fact, North Judson scored 18 points against them, of course, the defending semi-state champions. And but other than North Miami, haven't really been challenged since then.
I like to point out number 3 for Pioneer, Eli Guffey at that outside linebacker spot. He's a terrific player. He's going to be somebody you have to account for as Coach Betzner and Coach Hendricks and his staff get ready for this game. You're going to have to find a way to block him. Pioneers went for their slanting defensive linemen, and that kind of makes them unique. Watch out for McCaden Tolosa and for J.J. Solano. Those guys are really good at getting into your backfield and racking up those tackles for loss. When Pioneer is playing well, they get a lot of tackles for loss. They slip inside in your backfield and cause a lot of havoc. So that is going to be key for Carroll as they try to get some space for Lane Peters, their quarterback, to get some big yards. Obviously, Peters has been huge for them.
Of course, Val, Coach Berry came to Pioneer in 2016 and had immediate success. You talk about immediate success. That's the very definition of it. 3 state championship game appearances and 2 state championships. Had a regional championship a couple of years later. Then, as you mentioned, the 2-8 record in 2022. What is it about Coach Berry's program that allowed him to rise again, do you think?
I think part of it is he's from Pioneer, and basically his entire coaching staff is from Pioneer as well. They really emphasize the kind of the pride of the program, and I think that's really helped this as these kids have grown. In that 2-8 season, they were really overwhelmed most of the season. They were facing a lot of teams that were bigger and stronger and faster than they were. I think part of that is just stuff where they got better in the weight room, and as you get bigger, stronger, and faster yourself, you get more confident. But also, he's really emphasized kind of the pride of the program, the pride of Pioneer tradition, and it's gotten them on the doorstep potentially of a sectional title.
Who do you think's going to win Friday, and how close is it going to be?
Do you do predictions?
I don't, so you're putting me on the spot here. Okay. I'm going to go
every week, so that's why I asked.
I'm going to go Pioneer in this one. I like them 21-7, 28-7, something like that.
We're about to make our predictions coming up here in a second, Val.
Okay.
I just want to do a little spoiler here. I picked Carroll to win the sectional coming into the sectional, and I am changing my pick tonight because
Pioneer from the get-go and have stayed with Pioneer.
And the Panthers have been great. So I think that I'm going to end up picking them. But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate getting to know you, and hopefully this will become a regular thing.
I should tell you I picked Rochester to beat Eastbrook last week. I should just preface that.
I picked Alexander to win that sectional, so how about that?
Oh boy. I don't think Eastbrook went 8 for 13 in third down conversions last week. I don't think Rochester giving up eight third down conversions the entire season.
Good point. I think my final score prediction was 7-0, so it was not what I expected. Michelle, we heard all the facts and figures. You've heard the story behind the game that Pioneer routed 3-time defending champion Carroll last year to win the sectional semifinal. We heard from our new friends Val Tsoutsouris at Rochester at WROI and Sam Wort at WILO from Frankfort. So, Michelle, after hearing all of that, who are you taking? The Pioneer Panthers or the Carroll Cougars?
Pioneer Panthers. I picked them to win this sectional from the outset. I'm not going away from it.
They've looked so good.
They have. And you talk about another program of tradition, and that's them. And I know they had a couple down cycles, but that's Class A football. I mean, even Sheridan, under all the years of the great Bud Wright,
Sure.
you just have sometimes years that you have that. But because you have that tradition and kids grow up dreaming of being, for Sheridan, Brett Law, for Pioneer, Jack Kaiser, little kids until that, it keeps that alive, and you keeps your program, and you're going to cycle through them, and you're going to get better again. And that's what Pioneer has done. And I expect them to win on Friday night.
Michelle, I picked Carroll to win the sectional from the start, but after watching the first 2 rounds, I can't stay on Carroll. Pioneer has been overwhelmingly good. Carroll has been pretty good in the sectional so far, so give me the Pioneers. Thanks so much for your time, Michelle. Michelle and I did 8 sectional previews, so go find one of the other 7 and listen to it, please. And we also, on Thursday, did our preview and prediction show for predicting all of the games in Central Indiana, all 6 classes. And we're really tired, but we did it. And we thank you so much for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a high school football fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you, Greg.
Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.